So, hey guys, you just heard a part of the original 1976 theme for Carrie, the Brian De Palma version, and that is because today I'm going to talk about the remake of Carrie by director Kimberly Pierce. Kimberly Pierce, you guys, she was a part of a independent film called Boys Don't Cry, and I guess she's done a few other stuff before this movie, but she recently remade Carrie by Stephen King. So in the remake, you guys, similar to the 1976 version, there's a girl named Carrie White at a high school. She's an outcast. She doesn't have a lot of friends. People always pick on her. She seems kind of misinformed about certain things. She doesn't know what periods are. She doesn't know like when women have their period, and she doesn't socialize with a lot of people. A lot of people kind of view her as a freak because of her mom and how she's really religious and she comes from a very religious background. And basically, near the beginning of the film, for those who are familiar with the Carrie story and who've seen the first film, this film isn't really going to bring too many surprises simply because it is the same story, and once again, it's another film adaptation of Carrie. But basically, because she had her first period, she thought she was bleeding to death, but she was just having her first period, and girls were trying to help her out. Some of them were kind of mean about it, and later turned into a giant, teasing fest where they're throwing tampons at her in the locker room. The gym teacher saves her, and basically, Carrie gets sent home, and right away we know that the mother is very religious. There's kind of something kind of off about her. In this film too, that's kind of unique is in this one we actually get to see her at her job. In the first Carrie film, we didn't get to see the mom was just kind of at the house all the time. In this film, she actually works at some type of a tailoring shop where she makes dresses for people and gets the suits ready for men, and people would pick up outfits from her and stuff. So we actually get to see that in this movie, which I thought was kind of unique. But basically, as the story progresses, these girls get punished for what they did. They have to make it up to Carrie now. So what they do is one of the girls convinces her boyfriend to take Carrie to the prom since she can't go due to her suspension. And for those who are familiar with the story, there's the whole pig blood event thing, and basically this leads Carrie to go on a rage with her telekinetic powers that we've seen her use throughout the movie, and she uses her telekinetic powers to basically seek revenge on the town for basically humiliating her for her big moment, being prom queen, which later turned out to be a complete bust. Um, so I liked the remake, you guys. It's not, it's no, by no means a perfect movie. It's definitely not better than, the Brian De Palma classic. But for remake standards, I actually kind of like the movie. I mean, I didn't leave the theater mad about it. I didn't leave the theater sad about it. There was actually a lot of things going on in this movie. I think for the most part, pretty much liked. For the positives and negatives, for the positives, I like how the film shows just how contemporary Stephen King's work is. I like how the film really shows that this story can be told in any generation. It can be told in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, the 2010s. I really like how this film, managed to really prove to its audience that this story can truly be told in any generation, and it still holds up today, which I think the film really represents just how well the story has stood the test of time. Um, like I mentioned before, we get to see the mom at her work this time, so I thought that was kind of unique. I loved how the film was more modernized, like in a good way. People using iPhones. They recorded Carrie when she was having her period, posted it on YouTube. The girls got in trouble for that this time around, so it wasn't just them making fun of her like in the first film, but they also got in trouble for posting that thing on the internet, which I thought was kind of a unique way of modernizing that consequence. Um, Tommy's the girlfriend who had Tommy um, who took Carrie to the prom. Um, I like how he was more likable this time around. I like the actor they got. I actually kind of liked him better than the actor they chose for the 1976 version. I thought this guy felt a little bit more approachable. He almost felt like the kind of guy that you'd want to hang out with in high school. So I like how the new boyfriend really was a kind of a nice change for Carrie. That he was really this great opportunity for her to really go to this prom and really expand her social horizons that she wouldn't normally do. Um, But speaking of that, yeah, his girlfriend, the girl who picked on Carrie, who made her boyfriend take to the prom for Carrie. I like how she had a more notable part to this movie. Basically throughout the first movie, we just see her say, "Hey, can you take this girl named Carrie to the prom and stuff?" And I like how in this film she has a much bigger part. I like how she you don't really know if she was guilty about making fun of Carrie, if she was really wants to be Carrie's friend. She kind of had that part in the first movie, but in this one they really played off of that some more, and I thought that was kind of interesting. Um, Judy Greer as the gym teacher. I thought was great. I almost liked her better than the actress they chose for the original. So Judy Greer did a terrific job, really bringing a lot more energy and a lot more interesting factors to that character. You really got the impression that she really wanted to help Carrie out, and I really like that's what Judy Greer brought to the character. Um, like I was saying before, the new boyfriend in this one was great for Carrie. Um, I thought that Tommy and Carrie, when they went to the prom, they actually looked a lot cuter together in this one than they did in the original. You really got the impression that they could really have been this couple if things didn't go wrong at this prom. Um, it really just had a great chemistry between Chloe Moretz and this guy they chose. Just I really enjoyed every second they had before the pig blood scene happened. It just really felt like things are really moving up for Carrie, and that this prom night was going to be this huge event for her if things went perfectly right. So I really like how that film managed to have that cute feeling between those two people. Um, Julianne Moore, I thought, played a better mom than Piper Laurie did in the original. Though they were both over the top with the role, more so Piper Laurie than Julianne Moore. I thought Julianne Moore brought a more realistic take on the character. She would cut her wrists, she would cut her legs sometimes. Um, but one thing I liked about her is like even every once in a while, like she would just come up and hug Carrie. Like she almost kind of felt bad for what she did to her. And though that the mom would still do it throughout the movie, you really got the sense that Julianne Moore just kind of felt a little bit guilty about what she was doing. And the Piper Laurie character, she just kind of was always over the top throughout the 1976 version. I like how Julianne Moore kind of brought more realism to that character. So I actually thought Julianne Moore was even better in the part than Piper Laurie was, surprisingly. Um, for the negatives, there was actually some. This is kind of a weird number one negative to bring up. It's not my number one worst thing about the movie, but something I noticed while I was watching it is there was some awkward teacher lines in here, almost kind of pedophile-ish in some ways. Um, the uh, the gym teacher when she was trying to support Carrie with this line was in the first one too. Trying to support Carrie and to encourage her to go to the prom with this guy. The way Judy Greer said it in the scene with, "Oh, well, that guy's kind of cute," was just kind of like almost as if she kind of had a secret crush on him this whole time in the movie, and it just kind of felt awkward. There's a scene too in the movie where like I think Carrie was in like an English class or something, and the teacher was like looking at one of the female students very suspiciously and acting very suspiciously around her. So I thought that was kind of weird. But anyway, back to the other stuff. Um, I thought once again, I mean, this film is just not as good as the original. The original just was so much more creepier, much darker. Brian De Palma filmed the movie better than Kimberly Pierce did. I thought Brian De Palma uh, really showed off his filmmaking talents in that movie. I mean, it just really like every scene that felt was meant to be tense felt tense. Every scene that was meant to be cute felt cute. Though Kimberly Pierce got some of that right in the remake, I think Brian De Palma just he really nailed it. And I really think there really is nobody else on the planet that could really top what Brian De Palma did in the first movie. Um, I didn't like how the film broke the telekinetic rules that the book and the first film had just to make the new content work. It just really you almost wish they just could have kept with the rules of the original as far as the telekinesis goes, because this film uses more levitational powers. There's one scene involving Carrie and the girlfriend of Tommy in one scene using her powers, and really didn't work when it came to the new content when that with adding new rules to the telekinesis. I would also say the film isn't scary enough. I mean, I really was never scared or creeped out in this movie. It just it was dark, but like it just didn't feel like a horror film. And I really wish, Carrie is a horror film. It's a horror story. The first film felt dark and creepy. This film just did not feel that way, and I just really wish it did. There was just some scenes where it just felt like I was watching an action movie, specifically when all hell broke loose at the prom, and Carrie was seeking her revenge on people. Really, just it almost felt like a dark action film, like something out of Underworld. Really didn't work. I really wish, like I said, they would have had a more horror film approach, like what Brian De Palma did. I'm not saying they had to repeat what Brian De Palma did. In fact, I would encourage them to do something new with the material. But what they did just didn't feel like a horror film. It felt like something from a different genre. Um, there's the new music they had for this movie really was. I mean, you heard the theme I used at the beginning of the video. I mean, the score for the original movie was just so good and so powerful, and it really represented the emotions and drama that happened throughout the movie. The musical score they used in the new Carrie film just really, it just really wasn't memorable. I just kind of forgot about the score by the time you left the theater. So I really wish the score of this movie was a lot better. Um, and even while the movie was happening, the score was just like it was there. It wasn't horrible, but just wasn't memorable, and I really wish it was. Um, I thought Chloe Moretz was almost too cute to play Carrie. One of my complaints with the movie is, if I were one of the high school boys in that school, I would have asked out Carrie like first. I mean, it's just like when you look at some of the girls that were in the movie, and then you see Chloe Moretz, she's trying to be shy, and she, like I said, she plays the part well. But I just, I don't know. I put myself in the situation of those boys in that high school. It's just like if I saw that and I saw that compared to like the really mean girls that were picking on her, I would have asked out Carrie. It's just like this girl is interested in in books and her interesting concepts about life. And it's like I'd rather take that to the prom than some girl who's gonna post mean videos on YouTube and stuff. It's just like I almost wish that I almost wish there was more of an undesirable trait to Chloe Moretz as Carrie, because then I could see why. Okay, maybe that's why guys are kind of leaving her alone the whole time. But as she was, she was shy. But I would almost know some guys who would be kind of turned on to that. It's just like I want to move in on that. So like I said, Chloe Moretz was fine in the part. It's just that because she's just such a cute person in reality, and even in the movie, you just kind of didn't buy the fact that she was this outcast in this high school. Also, the last act seemed kind of clumsy to me. If you've seen the original Carrie, you know that the original ending is very effective. The ending they use in this one was just really clumsy, and it just kind of generic in a way too. I mean, it just really, like, once again, it's just kind of forgettable when you leave the theater, and I didn't like that feeling. So the overall, guys, I do give the remake of Carrie an 8 out of 10. I think it's a good, solid film, but as far as being a horror film, as far as remaking the first film, I think the film does have a long way to go. But it's not a bad movie at all. In fact, I enjoyed myself a lot throughout watching this movie. I can definitely tell Kimberly Pierce has some experience directing movies. But like I said, I really think the film could have done a lot more as far as trying to compete with the original. But overall, guys, like I said, the new Carrie gets an 8 out of 10 for me. A good, solid film, but it needs a few tweaking in order to be up to par with the original.